Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. I am Ralph Labella.
And I'm Ron Sen, and we have a potpourri of information from around the sports world. First, in what some people feel is one of the great comebacks of all times, Tiger Woods wins the Masters. I think the Masters is a big winner every year at Masters Week. I read that the Pro Shop takes in the 7 days that the tournament's open, $50 million.
Wow.
That pays for a lot of lawnmowers.
And there's so many people were there. How many people were there? 100,000 over?
I don't know. There was a massive crowd. But
and they were all following Tiger.
And it was a very competitive Masters. It was close all the way down. The back nine people kind of fell out of contention, which I thought it would be even closer than it was because there was a little bit of rain that slowed down the greens and the courses. But a number of guys hit the ball into the water, and that just literally sunk them.
I never thought Woods would catch him. I mean, the guy at my favorite golf, well, I like Mickelson, and I like Spieth, but to me, kind of like feels the pressure too much. But I like Koepka.
I was going to say Koepka's.
Koepka is the best golfer, I think.
Well, he had that 10-footer, 12-footer on 18, and he just couldn't make it. So that's how it goes. And Tiger Woods has been through a lot. Obviously, they said something like he has to get up at 3:45 in the morning to get his back worked on so he can even play. But more power to him. He's $2 million richer in prize money, and Lord knows how many endorsements he's going to get out of this. So this really revitalized his career. Maybe he can dream about winning some more majors and challenging Nicklaus for the all-time record.
He needs 3 more, right? Now he has 15.
Right. So, Tiger's kind of a polarizing figure. Obviously, he's been a great golfer. He brought tremendous prize money into the sport. He forced younger players to improve to get up to his level. Some people were jealous of that. Other people are thankful that he brought all the money into the sport. And obviously, he had a lot of personal problems. But it was nice to be able to see him happy and hugging his son and daughter after the tournament. So that's kind of a nice
his daughter. Was his daughter there?
His daughter was there. His son is only a couple of years younger than the daughter, but the son is very small and the daughter is very tall.
And his mother was there. That was his mother, right?
Right, his mom was there. So, a good tournament, big crowd. The weather wasn't great, but hey, that's how it goes.
Everybody was rooting for him.
Right. It's a big difference in interest in the sport when he's playing. Now, the Patriots today signed Demaryius Thomas. Thomas has been around the league. He was at the Texans. He was on the Broncos. When he was at the Broncos playing against the Patriots, he had a lot of drop passes. So I don't know if that was injury problems or lack of concentration or bad quarterbacking. I doubt the Patriots are paying him big money, that's for sure.
Yeah, plus his injury, too. I don't know. He'll probably end up getting cut.
Yeah, he's got an Achilles that he's coming off of from, I think, December.
How old is he?
31, I think it said.
Oh, he's only 31?
So he's not...
Well, he may have a couple of good years left.
He's not ancient. It's just, I didn't really trust the guy.
They don't need the superstar, though. They need a guy that can work good with Brady, so...
Right. Last night, there was the biggest comeback in the history of the NBA playoffs. I went to bed way before that.
I went to bed in the second quarter.
Golden State was destroying the Clippers ahead by 31 in the third quarter, and the Clippers just kind of chipped away a little bit at a time, and Golden State threw the ball away relentlessly. DeMarcus Cousins got hurt. He has a quadriceps injury in the same leg that he had the Achilles injury in. So that's, I don't know what that's going to do to his value going forward, but he's probably out for the rest of the playoffs.
What game does that remind you of? I was at that game when the Celtics were beating the Clippers by 28.
Oh.
And they ended up blowing it.
Right. So, I'm not saying that Golden State's going to lose to the Clippers, but Lou Williams was unbelievable. I think he had 26 points in a quarter and a half at the end. And the Clippers really played with a lot of heart. There's a lot of discussion that Kevin Durant's going to go to the Knicks. We don't know whether he's going to the Knicks. So everything may not be great in Golden State.
How about the rumor? Now, this is a rumor. You hear the rumor?
No.
That there's no way it's going to happen. It's going to be Brown, Smart, and one of the picks. I don't know if it's a Memphis pick.
All right.
Now, LeBron James and Davis are involved in this.
Okay.
LeBron James is going to come to the Celtics. This is a rumor.
All right.
And the Celtics are going to trade Tatum and Smart to New Orleans for Davis and one of the picks.
But is Kyrie going to play with the Celtics?
I know.
Why does Kyrie want to play with LeBron?
That rumor, I mean, it's a rumor. Not many people are talking about it, that Davis and LeBron James are going to come to the Celtics. But what's that, 1 in 1,000 chance?
Yeah, I don't see that happening, but it would be great. I mean, but I don't see Kyrie playing third banana.
No one wants to play with LeBron now. I wouldn't think Kyrie wants to. I wouldn't think Davis wants to.
On the basketball coaching sites, there's a lot of talk about Luke Walton, who's going to Sacramento, and saying,
perfect team.
Why does this guy, who's got a terrible coaching record outside of when he was filling in at Golden State, he's never won anything, why does he get another job?
Divac.
Yeah. So
he likes him. They get along really well. He likes his philosophy. So that's why. But he's going to the perfect team.
Yeah, they've got some
An
talent there.
up-and-coming young team. Mm-hmm. Celtics are getting their pick this year. I think it could be second or third,
Right, but it's probably going to be 13 or 14.
Yeah, the percentages, I mean, there's like a 2% chance it could be the second pick and an 8% chance it could be the third pick. That's all you can move up. If it goes to the first pick, they lose it.
Right, and if it stays where it is, then they get it where it is. And
Now
the
they
Memphis pick, we don't know. It could be anywhere from 2, 3, 4, or
They don't
9,
get it this year.
or they don't get it, right.
And they don't really want it this year.
No.
It's
Well,
good to have it. The big thing is next year
trading
it's
chip.
6 protected,
Right.
and then the year after there's no protection. So it's a trading chip. If you're going to make a big deal, or I'm going to give you the Memphis pick also, which could be the first pick in 2 years.
Right. And then in San Diego, there's a lot of excitement. Fernando Tatis Jr., in 16 games, the 20-year-old has 5 home runs, and he's a shortstop. So when you have a good fielding shortstop with a lot of power, that generates a lot of excitement. So we were both talking before the show that baseball hasn't really gotten us going too far yet. The Red Sox and Yankees are a little bit lucky in that the Rays' best pitcher, Blake Snell, broke his foot. A toe on his right foot, which is his land foot because he's a left-handed pitcher. Supposedly, he was getting out of the shower and dropped some marble thing on his foot, which, I don't know, that sounds like a weird story to me, but, you never know.
The Yankees have to stay in contention, kind of, with the Red Sox. I'm worried. I think the Red Sox are going to get it going against the Yankees tonight. Sales pitching against Paxton. But the Yankees, I mean, they're hurting big time.
Well, I'm hoping for the second coming of Hurricane Sandy with Sandy Leone back in the lineup. Of course, we have to talk a little bit about that. The Red Sox designated Blake Swihart for assignment. Online, you should see the hate going to a Dave Dombrowski like Blake Swihart is Johnny Bench or something. The guy's never really been productive. He's been hurt a lot. And obviously the pitchers don't have a lot of confidence throwing to him. The Red Sox starter's ERA is 7.18, which is horrible. That's not all him. But that's the argument is pitchers shouldn't have their personal catcher because then if they don't have their binky, then they go off the rails.
Well, it's not his fault. I mean, Cora makes the cuts.
Well,
Cora cut him.
Well, supposedly Dombrowski said that he wanted a Swihart on the roster. So, anyway, maybe he's taking a bullet there. I don't know. Now, we haven't talked at all about the NCAA championship. It was a bit of a surprise to some, including me, that Virginia won. There was a key play near the end where the ball went off the guard's finger in super slow motion that you would have never been able to tell. I'm not really sure if replay was designed to detect those ultra microscopic fingernail touch the basketball, but that's what happened.
Yeah, I before the tournament started, I liked Texas Tech. I said they're the team, the long shot. They weren't really a long shot because if you watch them play this year, I mean, they were one of the top 20 teams all year. But they had a really good tournament. I didn't think Virginia would win it because of their offense, but.
Well, they did pretty well, especially Jerome was a strong player.
How about the knucklehead ref, though? How doesn't he see that double dribble?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's, He's
He's standing right there.
at some point along the line, you wonder if there's going to be even more use of replay so that coaches will get a challenge. But during a lot of games, they're not going to have those 12 cameras or whatever they have.
But I'm watching the game. I said, that's a double dribble. And they're not calling it. I said, what are they thinking? And the ref was right there when they showed the replay, right there watching them. And then Jerome was choking big time. He took those 2 crazy even though he had a good game,
Right.
At the end he took 2 bad threes. Then he dribbles the ball off his heel, and he's not smart enough. The ball bounced. It just bounced. If he put one hand on it and dribbled it, kept dribbling, it's not a double dribble. He touched it with 2 hands. He didn't even know.
Well,
He was choking big time, though, Ron.
well, I know he's declared for the NBA draft. Again, on the basketball coach's website, a lot of people are saying he's not somebody going to come out and be an impact player. Look at the MVP of the previous year, Dante DiVincenzo from Villanova. I think he went to the Bucks. He played minimal minutes, spent most of his time in the G League. And the NBA is a different game. It's pick and roll. It's so much more physical, and smaller guys. I mean, even if you're a 6'3", 6'4" guy, that's not big as far as getting it to the basket.
I'll tell you though, Ron, these days a scout is so important. I'm watching these players that are playing in the NBA, drafted in the second round, late first, really being a big part of these teams. They can hit the shot, they're quick. So Ainge has got a
Well, the guy who
ton
didn't
of
go
picks.
until the second round that the Celtics had 1 million shots at was Brogdon from Virginia, and he kills them on the Bucks. He's a good player.
He's still out, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got, I don't know, he's got some substantial injury.
But I mean, I hope Ainge does a better job than picking, what's his name, Urbaselli and those guys. He's going to have 3 picks. They're going to be in the teens, early 20s and in the teens. I hope he can find a good guard.
Well, one of the things that happens when you get old is you lose your sense of humor. So I wanted to sort of get an idea of what it would be like to feel like Robert Kraft. So I drove up to the strip mall today and parked my car, looked around, I didn't see anybody, walked in and paid some money, and I said, I'll have 3, cinnamon, butternut, and a jelly donut. So Kraft showed up at the opening game of the playoffs and received a hero's welcome from the Celtics fans. So,
I mean, of course he's going to.
yeah, I mean,
You think the fans care?
no, not at all.
They feel bad for his grandkids and his family.
I wish he just paid the fine.
Well, I told
did
you
his
the reason why
community
he
service.
didn't.
Yeah.
Because there's no trafficking. I'll tell you one thing. I cannot believe who the idiot was that gave him that warrant to be able to tape.
Okay.
I mean, I can't believe it. I mean, they had a show trafficking, but there's a thing. You can't video everybody. There were people going in. Two women went in there, and they were on film, and they went in there just for a massage. 2 females.
Well,
I mean, that's ridiculous. There's going to be lawsuits all over the place.
So often in these situations, my sense is there's a political undertone that if you're the prosecutors, you're looking to get elected something, so this gets you high profile. I don't know what the guy's name is, but maybe he wants to be governor or attorney general or whatever someday in Florida.
But the first thing, if someone came to me and said, listen, because we had it up in Haverhill.
Okay.
We had one place, and 2 ladies were running it, and they shut it down, but they didn't get into huge trouble. I mean, they had to pay big fines, but they had good attorneys. But if someone came in to me and said, listen, we want to put a video, in the rooms, we want to video it, and I would say, why? Because we think that, there's something going on in there. I'd say, you crazy? I said, what about the people that go in there that are normal? What are you going to do? You're going to watch and say, okay, they weren't involved in this, so we're not going to use it? You're still watching them. People that go in there for a massage. And then if it's just a misdemeanor, you're not going to do it. I mean, they really had to build this up to get those in there. But I think there's a lawsuit, definitely. And I know why Kraft's doing it. He's got the motion to suppress. I told you last show, he wants to suppress the videos, okay? And then he wants to get them destroyed. I mean, because to me, they're illegal.
Well, speaking of big money, Russell Wilson, the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, just got a mega deal. There was some talk that he wasn't going to sign at all, but he got a 4-year, $140 million contract from Seattle.
How much is guaranteed?
I want to say it was like $35 million, but he got a maybe it was $35 million that was the signing bonus, but he got a lot of money up front.
They're crazy.
I don't know. He's a good player,
Let
but
him trade him. What has he done for them in the last 6 years?
wait, how are you going to trade him now that you got a salary that's that
No,
high?
I mean, why are they doing that?
I don't know.
They just signed him, right?
Right.
How
so-
many was he? He was going to be a free agent after this year.
Yes.
I would have
So-
traded him.
Well,
I would have traded him and build the rest of your team up, and find a quarterback. I mean, what have they done? They've done nothing.
no, I know.
And they're giving him more money.
Well,
He
anyway,
actually blew a Super Bowl.
it's not our money. The Boston Marathon happened this week, and fortunately it went off uneventfully. Shocking, we have some skinny people who won the race and looked like they needed to have a lot of food afterwards.
You know, I was watching one of the sergeants up in Haverhill, female. She ran in it. She wanted to break 4. But, you know, I was looking at it. If you run 10-minute miles, it's going to be like 4:20, whatever, if you average 10-minute miles, which is very good. So these people that are running in the 3s, I mean, I think if you run a 9-minute mile, it's like you're running a 3:40 or 3:50, 9-minute miles. I mean, that's excellent for 26 miles.
Well, my sister's significant other's son in New York came out here, and he's like 50 years old, and he did 3:07, which was...
That's excellent.
Yeah, I know.
You kidding me? That's like 8-minute miles.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, to me, that anybody can run that fast. There's a wonderful movie called St. Ralph, your namesake, set in the 1950s in Canada. It's not necessarily for kids because the language can be pretty harsh, but it's sort of the Rocky of running. So, and it just happens to be that the kid's dream is to run in the Boston Marathon. So it was very timely. We watched the movie this week.
To me, it's amazing, these people that run it.
You know, the Bruins are off to a so-so start in the playoffs.
So-so.
Well,
Bad.
the first game was basically terrible. They were completely outplayed and didn't show up. The second game they won. Yesterday they lost 3-2, and the Bergeron, Pasternak, Marchand line is doing nothing.
Same thing happened last year.
I know. I mean, usually Bergeron is a stronger player, but they're not producing 5-on-5. They're not producing even on the power play, but the usual chorus of blame Rask for everything hasn't really broken out yet. And
Well, that third goal, the backhand, I thought he should have come out quicker and taken away the angle, but the guy made an unbelievable. How many guys backhanded were in that exact spot?
right. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. The instigator on the Leafs, Nazem Kadri, took a stupid penalty for cross-checking DeBrusque in the face, and he's suspended for the series. He's kind of like the Leafs version of Marchand, not quite as skilled, but kind of feisty problem player.
How about tomorrow night, TV? You need 3 TVs. You've got the Celtics, the Bruins, and the Red Sox Yankees tomorrow night.
Oh, you know, arthritis in the thumbs from using the clicker. Obviously, the Red Sox are in New York tonight. We'll talk more about that later. You know, as for the Bruins, I think they need more skilled players on defense. You know, Char's slowed. I mean, he's signed to an extension, but he's slowed down so much.
Yeah, but that third goal, they had so many opportunities to get the puck out of their end, you know, and they get burned.
Well, they're sloppy in their own end, you know. And
I'm hoping they win. I mean, I want to see them. You know, you may have Tampa out of it, but I think Tampa's going to come back and win 4 in a row.
Well, we'll see.
They just need to win 1 game, and then. But you know, it's still, everybody said for, you know, it's very competitive with the teams. The Toronto Bruins. Toronto was picked to beat the Bruins out.
Well, that's. I mean, I don't watch a lot of regular season hockey, but in the playoffs, it's a different game. It's so much faster. It means so much to the players. The effort level is a lot higher. You can say, no, they play hard every day. It's not the same in the playoffs. The intensity is so much higher.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. As I said before the season, when you expect nothing from the Red Sox, you might get something. And if you expect a lot, you'll probably get a lot less. Lou joins us for this segment of tonight's broadcast. We're going to talk about the travails of the Red Sox and how they hope to turn it around in the Big Apple.
And speaking of nothing, you added me to talk about the Dead Sox. Come on, we're not burying them yet, are we?
Well, there's plenty of blame to be spread around.
Well, yeah, look at Blake Swihart. Let's get rid of him because Sandy Leone needs to be catching Sale. If he doesn't have his own personal catcher, that's why he's been so bad.
Well, he'll probably come out and pitch really well tonight, and we'll say, great move.
Isn't that always what happens, though? It's something like, and you know what? I'm not criticizing the idiosyncrasies of managers. We know how it is. But wouldn't that be something if he goes 8, shuts the Yankees down, and everybody says, oh, look, it's all better. It's all it needed.
It does make a difference who's catching. I was in college, pitching and not great. There's a 3-2 count, and the catcher calls for a pitch out. So I'm shaking him off because he doesn't obviously know that it's and he keeps calling for a pitch out. So it's pretty hard to feel comfortable with your catcher if he's calling for a pitch out on a 3-2 count. So I'm not saying that Swihart was that bad, but he wasn't Johnny Bench or Yogi Berra or any reasonable facsimile. He's another guy.
Yeah, but the pitching staff wasn't ready to go.
I don't think so.
They took it easy during the spring training. They didn't pitch as much as other pitchers because it's a long season. You know what's going to happen with the Red Sox.
Well, there's plenty of problems.
Dustin
Pedroia is hitting 100. Bradley's hitting not much more than 100. Devers has 5 errors already, and they've maybe got away with some that weren't even errors. So Betts hasn't done anything yet. So there's a lot of guys that just aren't playing well yet.
I think they all left their game in Los Angeles with that World Series celebration. I think there's definite hangover. Couple of guys nicked up, sick. Benintendi with the foot. The other one, Bradley, was sick. I mean, these things happen, in April. Let's face it. I mean, I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to say that, we should run out and start making wholesale changes.
Ralph said a million times that it's 10 seasons. So the first 10th of the season, they've been terrible.
Right.
Well, the way I look at it, coming from, Yankee fan to the Red Sox, after 80 games, they'll be 45 and 35. Then once they really get going, the second half of the years and the next 80 games, they'll be 50 and 30. They'll end up with 95 wins.
And is that enough to finish?
97. I predicted 97 before the season.
Well,
what's going to win you the division?
It makes you wonder, what's going on with Dallas Keuchel's still out there, Kimbrel's still out there. Now, I get it that Kimbrel was asking for unreasonable years and money, so he's going to have to take something less. But at some point, you have to say, when you talk to your agent every day, you hearing anything? You hearing anything? Nope. You have to ratchet it down. You have to do a make good contract and show you have velocity and command, and then you'll get your money.
But what's a shame with the Yankees? I mean, they have all these injuries. They had a lot of good pickups this year. If they had stayed healthy, I figured they were going to win about 105 games with that team they had. Now that they have 12 guys on the disabled list, I mean, I think it'll take the Red Sox 95 wins. Well, with
what else
tough break that Tampa got. I mean, that's a bad break.
That's what I was about to say. What else we got in the division?
Tampa's good. They're young and
they're young and they're good, but the bad
they
break
may win
there.
it. They may win 95. The Red Sox may win 92, 93. The Yanks may win 90. With all the injuries, the Yanks may not even get to 90.
It's so hard to say right now, obviously, because, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, having seen this before, we've all seen it before, if the Red Sox this year just won 85 games and finished in third place. Would you look at it and say, wow, gee, I'm stunned? I've seen it before. I'd be surprised, but I mean, I'm just saying, if the Yankees are healthy and play to their potential, Tampa Bay's young, if they play to their potential, I mean, let's face it, you have fodder at the end of this, you get 20 games against Baltimore, 20 games against Toronto. Where are they finishing?
Baltimore's been beating the Red Sox and Yankees.
Well, yeah, that's now, though.
Well, we use sample size how we want. So if you're a guy like Bogarts, he's off to a great start, he's going to have a great year, and Pedroia is going to hit 100. So if Bogart's doing well, he's going to have a great year. Pedroia is going to be terrible. So, it works both ways. It averages out.
But once they're feeling good, once they get on one of these streaks, and it's probably going to happen in Yankee Stadium today and tomorrow.
It's got to wake them up now.
To me, it's the best time for the Red Sox to play the Yankees, and it's the worst time for the Yankees to play the Red Sox. Because I just look at it, and I think the Red Sox are going to sweep these two games.
I hope you're right.
The Yankees just don't have enough hitting.
Yeah, but the
And
Red
their
Sox
pitching's
aren't
not
hitting
good
either,
either.
though.
Who's still available day to day for the Yankees? It seems like they've lost.
I mean,
half
you have
their
Judge, you have Torre, you got Voit, who's hitting okay. You got those two pickups. That
Tulowitzki, is he out? Or
He's out.
Tulowitzki's injured
Ando
again.
has a big out.
LeMahieu.
Sanchez was the hottest hitter in baseball. He's out now. But they got LeMahieu, another young player who's
Now,
playing.
Bird just went out, right?
Yeah, but Sanchez is the big one because he was finally starting to hit for them. I think he had 6 home runs.
And they don't have Betances and
Betances is
Severino.
A lot of guys out. Where's Teixeira? Maybe they can get him to suit up tonight.
But right now, the Red Sox are going to get it going. Once they start feeling good about themselves,
I think they will, but
they're going to go on one of those streaks where they win 17 out of 20. And then they're
I
just
think
going
they
to
have
be
the-
steady from there.
They certainly have the pedigree. They have the guys on the,
They just
these
weren't
guys
ready.
have done it already. That's what I think. I think the same thing. It's a little bit of a hangover, but maybe he did this by design. I mean, I like him as a manager, and he was a player. He knows what it's all about. He might have just said, you know what, the stupidest thing that we could do is to really put a foot on the gas in April. And he might have said, I'd rather have the pitchers work themselves into shape. I'd rather have the bullpen see what we have. Because, I mean, let's face it, last year was a very unconventional year for bullpen for them. And I didn't think they were going to fix it this year either.
That reminds me of the Eddie Arcaro story. So I just found this out the other day. His first 250 mounts were losses. So he goes into the Hall of Fame as a jockey, and it doesn't. How do you get to keep riding if you lose 250
The greatest
in a row?
jockey of all time by consensus. And yeah, that's true. There is a horse racing analogy I was going to make, though. A lot of the trainers used to do that, too. And I've read so many handicapping books because I am a big horse racing fan. And one of the things was, it was especially with the top horses. You always believe that they put them out there, they got to win. But then you'd have these trainers that would be like, they'd put him in a mile race and the horse wouldn't have a prayer. And it was basically like he was out for exercise. And the horse would be 7-2, and you'd look at the workout line, and these handicapping books would show it. There was no way this horse was in it to win it. And even the way the jockey rode it. And that's what I thought of with the Red Sox. I was like, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the way he went about at spring training, you could tell he did not care about spring training other than for just development and getting some guys some work. So I don't know. Maybe there's some method to his madness.
He might have been too cocky, too.
Well, as a horse racing guy, you know about the practice of keeping a goat in with the horse. The goat is like the horse's little buddy that keeps him calm.
Yeah.
And then the unscrupulous trainer would grab your goat before the night of the race, and therefore the expression "got your goat." So, but there's other.
He reads so many books. It's
There's
unbelievable.
other things about horse racing. My dad used to say that part of the reasons they use these scopes to look in the horse's nose before the races, because people would stick sponges in the horse's nose so he couldn't breathe. So
You'd be
just try to
surprised.
cheat.
They used to watch him. They'd be under 24-hour guard for that reason, for the little things that they do.
Who's your favorite horse of all time?
Secretariat.
Yeah.
Just because I was a kid, and like I had never seen, you guys were obviously older than me in that regard. You'd remember it better, but it was like the phenomenon. Like when I was a kid, there was like Mark Fidrich, or there was, you think about all of these different things. Hank Aaron, that home run season. It was just, there was like these things that it was like just encapsulated the whole sporting world, and never saw anything like Secretariat.
Well, Secretariat had a heart that was like 50% bigger than all the other horses. So this guy who breeds and buys horses, he said, well, why don't I just do an ultrasound of all the horses' hearts? So he's like around, he doesn't care about DNA or anything. He's looking at the heart, the horses' hearts, and he's apparently been really successful just getting horses with bigger hearts.
That's funny.
More horsepower.
Well, I think it was coincidence in that regard, but you know something? The thing about Secretariat, you talk about our animals smart enough to know. So with Secretariat, when it was a 2-year-old, lost the race, got disqualified. Came back the next race, broke the track record, or equaled the track record, which 2-year-olds, that's almost impossible, because 2-year-olds don't run as fast as the older horses. So it comes out in the springtime. It lost the Wood Memorial because it had an abscess on his lip. And every time he tried tightening the reins, he wanted to quit. So he came in third, and everyone said, oh, he's done. Followed up that loss by winning the Kentucky Derby in a track record. So he comes back in the Preakness, wins easy, but there was a malfunction with the timer. So they didn't give him the track record. There was this big controversy. And so then he come back in the Belmont and won by 31 lengths in a world record. So it's like he knew every time something went wrong. And it happened again later in the year. He lost the race in the mud, came back and set a world record on grass. That horse could have basically run on hot top. He could have ran on the beach sand. He could have ran on broken glass. So, you know, for me, I look at it like the athlete. You know, there's athletes we love to just root for, you know, and you just, I don't know if they're really good guys because we don't live with them and we don't hang out with them, but, you know, you just got that thing about them that you're like, oh, wow, I really love rooting for them. Well, that was how I was with Secretariat, even as a little kid.
I know.
Well, I think, you know, you go back to, you know, Ron Turcotte and the blue and white, I don't know what you call the...
It was like a diamond patent.
...thing that they wear. But, I mean, it's just so memorable. And, of course, in the Belmont, he won, what, by 30 lengths?
31 lengths, yeah.
Who announced that race?
That was Chick Anderson.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah, he had that great call. It
He's
was
like a
he's
machine.
widening now. He's moving like a
Would
tremendous
you say that's the
machine.
greatest call? What's the greatest call you've ever heard?
Oh, that was one of them.
And I didn't hear it
Well,
live.
Havlicek stole the ball.
And I was at the game, so I didn't hear that because it wasn't on TV.
Yeah, that was Most, right?
Johnny Most. And when I get home, I remember my father saying, you know, we're all excited, big fans. And my father said, you had to hear Johnny Most. You know, and then when I heard it, you know, I says, wow.
Well,
That's got to be the greatest call ever.
I was watching a video today. It was it was about Bill Russell and saying he's the most unappreciated legend because there's so many people who don't even include him in their top 5 players because people are talking about LeBron.
Oh, the ones that
Kareem.
never saw him.
I know. Well, then I was looking back. So in 1962, Game 7 against the Lakers, Russell had 30 points and 40 rebounds. And they said every Game 7 he was in, you know, they say, well, there's a lot of chance, anything could happen. No, when he was in every Game 7 he was ever in, they won.
Well,
Was
you
that the
have
one-
to see.
Was that at the Forum, that game in L.A., the Game
think
7?
so.
The one my father tells the story because my father loved him. And he got mad, too, about that, the underappreciated thing. He said in the locker room, or where they were out taking the warm-ups, and he looked up and they had all the balloons under the net waiting. And he says, you see them? He goes, those balloons are not coming down.
He was the greatest winner ever.
Well, I was writing a column today for my blog on David and Goliath. So I was sort of looking up who's the biggest underdog to ever win the Final Four, which was 1985 Villanova. They were an 8 seed. And only 4 11 seeds have ever even made it to the Final Four.
It was North Carolina State when they won it.
I don't know. But so it's not, you know, when people say, all right, Cinderella team, there's no 14 seeds that are going to win. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So, you know, Duke had 3 of the top 5 players in basketball this year, at least from the NBA perspective, and they're, you know, obviously they still didn't win. So, I mean, it's hard to compare Duke and Michigan State as being David and Goliath. That's not really a fair comparison.
Duke was always my favorite team, but I don't like what they're doing with this one and done thing. He was always against it. That's why I couldn't stand Kentucky and Calipari, and now Duke. I was hoping they lost. They should have lost 2 games earlier.
I know. That's
They should have
true,
lost
isn't
the
it?
previous game, and I'm glad they lost that game.
There's a couple of wild finishes in that Final Four.
Well,
I know it happens a lot of times.
imagine being an Auburn fan. Imagine being an Auburn fan. You could be the national champions now if it wasn't for that idiot referee. What is he doing out there?
And he was
You're talking
right
about
on
choking.
top of it. He was right on top
But
of
a
it.
fan, you call that play the right call, you win. You're probably going to win a national championship.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's a shame.
You know, how many if you just watch a lot of NBA games, how many times do you see guys fouling guys taking three-point shots? Make them make the shot. Don't let them hit 3 free throws.
He made that kid a hero for the rest of his life. He hits a three-pointer before then. He gets
then
fouled
he-
taking a three, hits a 3 foul shots.
Right.
I mean, that non-call made him a hero.
You know, and
And-
I'm not sure if he's coming out for the NBA draft or not. He's
can
not.
shoot.
Yeah, but in the NBA, there's going to be guys on him that can defend better.
Yeah, he
so-
should be. Do the Micah Ruzioni thing. Let that be your last game.
Imagine what this ref did for Jerome. though.
Oh, I know.
Jerome was choking big time. He, you know, and then by not calling that a double dribble, he saved Jerome.
And that's a more obvious thing. You can understand if it's a foul. Like, you know, guys grabbing. I understand, you know, refs, one might call it, one might not call it. You almost never call it in the last 20 seconds. So you understand that stuff. But the double dribble, missing that. How do you miss that?
That's worse than a non-call on the interference that New Orleans lost when they lost that game.
How
That's
is-
worse than
It's
that.
as bad as it gets, though. With the,
Well, I
it's
had
right there.
I had one official tell me it wasn't a double dribble, that it was, he just lost control and regained control, but it
He's an
wasn't
idiot.
a double dribble.
He's an idiot.
Well, what do you
you
think?
cannot dribble the ball, lose control of the ball, and touch it with 2 hands and then dribble again.
Yeah.
Unless the other team touches the ball.
The whole
Right.
evolution of,
That guy
Right,
doesn't
I
know
mean,
what he's
that-
talking
but
about.
that's it, right there.
the
So-
evolution of rules is, you know, under the FIBA rules now, I don't even know what a travel is anymore, because it's just talking
Well-
about gather and then you get steps and
I got to be honest. You know what? You can, even though I dislike LeBron with a passion, not afraid to say that. I hate LeBron. That was Jordan started that. The 3 steps through the lane, that just drove me nuts.
Well, what's the Greek freak?
Yeah, but
Every
it
time he
started,
drives and spins, he's traveling.
Yeah, but that's the thing. But they need to. You know what it is? The NFL, the competition committee. Every time Belichick would find an advantage, you had Bill Polian over in Indianapolis going ballistic, and he would find a way with the competition committee to take away that. And he's responsible for why Peyton Manning threw for 50 touchdowns and all these yards, because you couldn't defend anyone anymore. So, I mean, the competition committee in basketball needs to, basically, if they even have one, they need to say, look, enough is enough. The traveling is this, and that's it. There's no loose interpretation.
Well, pro reffing in basketball is the worst reffing.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Worse than high school refs,
Absolutely.
worse than college refs. College refs are the best refs, by far. I don't know how these guys get a job unless they tell them. I mean, they're so inconsistent, the pro refs.
well, what's really changed is now on the broadcasting teams on the Final Four, they have an official commentator to help clarify things. And what do you think about that? Just like they do in the NFL.
It's good to do that. I mean, because even, you know, I know the rules in the NFL. I know a lot of the little stupid things that maybe other people don't know just because I've been watching it and because my father and I watch it together. But, you know, there comes a time, though, when little things, it helps if you have a pro might say, that should have never happened right there. Because then at least, you know, you humanize the game a little and say, okay, well, the ref made a mistake. But, you know, the traveling thing, that's my biggest problem with basketball because they made it, everything runs downhill. So, okay, so you got a tight defense going on, right? You're not going to be able to dribble through the lane. It's all right, just keep throwing up threes because now everybody's hitting them and you don't have to go into the paint anymore.
They should
You
have
know.
special situations like when that happened and then they get fouled and hit the 3. When that happened, they should have been able to go look at the video and see that whole sequence there. The double dribble, the pass. Look at that whole sequence. Yeah, that was definitely a double dribble. It's Auburn's basketball. They should definitely have something like that, special situations, and have people there. I mean, that's a disgrace.
But besides the double dribble, really quickly, did you think that was a foul?
Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
definitely foul.
When the guy, he was
spun
up,
him.
but he was just about to release that
And he
ball.
got spun.
Do you think he really did
He
that?
got hit low and
Yeah,
he
I
spun
think he
him.
got fouled. So you just
He
can't.
would've hit it if he
you
didn't get
can't-
fouled.
You just can't foul guys shooting 3-point shots. You just can't.
And then you look at that, though, he probably would have hit it because it just caught the rim.
Now,
if you
in the
look at it.
NBA, there's a thing where the guys go up in the three-pointer and he throws his leg out and to make contact. That's a different deal.
In the NBA, you got to give him room to come down, too.
So, we'll be right back. National Football League wants to be 24/7, 365, and sometimes high school sports can become that way too. Melrose had a lot of transfers through the years, and we'll talk about that. And terrific players who've gone on and had successful careers. Isaac Seed, who was on the state championship team. Last year he played for Everett, had a very good season for Everett. I believe he's going to go to UNH for college football. And Franz de Perot, of course, who played at Melrose and then ultimately stopped playing high school soccer, went to club soccer, and then played for Northeastern and Coastal Carolina, one of the top 25 programs in the country.
He was a great basketball player,
And
too.
he was a phenomenal basketball player. And Jalen Adams, who amazing talent, who ultimately, after transferring out of Melrose, wound up at UConn. I think he was a senior at UConn this year.
Yeah, I think he went to Tabor Academy up there, one of the two teams.
So anyway, but the transfer bug is striking again. And, people transfer because they're looking for a different opportunity. Sometimes it can be academic, sometimes it can be coaching, can be all the above. And whatever's best for you as a player, for your family, and for you to achieve your dreams. And Samantha Dewey is going to be going up to Brooks in North Andover. And she's been a terrific player at Melrose for a couple of years. I enjoyed coaching her in middle school, and we wish her the best up at Brooks.
Yeah, and you have scholarships, too.
Right?
Maybe they feel, for Sam, that she has a better opportunity to get a scholarship, up at Brooks. One of our former players is up there, I think is
Jen Connolly.
Jen Connolly, who's very good talent. She's up there, and I heard she's playing the point. Very good athlete. So, and all these players that went, you're looking, hey, what's our best chance of getting a scholarship? And she, and they may feel that for Sam, that's the best place for her. Very good school, too.
Right. So you get some sharpening of your academic skills. I understand Sam's going to be living up there, so she'll get a lot of presumably court time to work on her game. I'm sure she'll want to work on extending her game to the mid-range level, and she certainly has the inside game that's very well developed. She's a solid defensive player, outstanding rebounder, great kid. So it's never a surprise when a player gets a great opportunity and seizes that opportunity. And on the boys' side, the word is that Holden Simons is also transferring.
Yeah, we heard that when he was in the 8th grade.
Right. So the sort of concept was that his freshman year at Melrose was almost like a redshirt year for private school. And his brother plays, I believe, linebacker at Stanford, so tremendous talent and athletics throughout the family. So never to be critical, just to say it's, you have some terrific athletes in your community that are highly sought after by other schools.
Yeah, and the other players just have to say, okay, no, we're going to work harder, we're going to compete, and we're going to go get it next year. That's how they have to think, I know they're going to miss her because she's had 2 great years. Someone like her, but same thing when Parola, stopped playing basketball. I love watching him play. He was he could have been probably the best, one of the top 5 basketball players to ever play at Melrose, I feel. And he was his hockey, in soccer was his number 1 sport. And then Jalen Adams, he left. That was a great team when he left, and he's at UConn now. I'm not sure if he's going to get drafted.
I would not be surprised if he were kind of a second-round late draft choice. Exceptional talent. Shea Petty, who went to Melrose, was among 3 finalists for the EuroLeague MVP this year. So I don't know that she won it. And I think I read somewhere that she is on the preseason roster for the Washington Mystics.
And everybody was after her to leave Melrose.
Right.
She was a MECO student from Boston, but she got very close to some of her classmates, and she didn't want to leave, and she stayed at Melrose for the 4 years.
Right.
And they had 4 great years with her. Then she ended up at Temple. She went to another school. Then
she went to Wright State for a couple of years.
Transferred to Temple, had that great tournament, where she scored 32 points in one game.
Right. She was the Atlantic 10 MVP, and I think the Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, just wonderful player, wonderful person, and we always like to see people succeed at the next level, wherever that is, whether it's college or professional. So that's kind of newsworthy. Now, the NFL draft is coming up very soon, and the Patriots have plenty of needs. Everybody's got their speculation out. I don't even remember the last time they drafted a wide receiver in the first round, so I don't think that's a serious consideration. The tight ends we talked a little bit about before. Everybody thinks the two Iowa State, I believe, or is it Iowa, tight ends are going to be gone. So that wouldn't be surprising that the Patriots got either an offensive tackle or a defensive tackle, I think.
Well, you got to be thinking they're looking at it, and they're going to be watching. They're going to be watching the teams. They're going to move up. I think they're going to give their first-round pick this year, their second-round pick this year, and their first-round pick next year. Will move them up enough to get that tight end from Iowa.
So you think they're going to go for Hawkinson and really?
Yeah. I think they'll watch the draft and say who needs tight ends. And they're going to be watching for other teams that are going to want to move up. But they're going to be talking to teams. I would definitely give up 2 first-rounders, and their second-round pick this year. Because when you look at it, they got Dawson, who was a second-round pick that didn't play it down. He's going to be back this year. You have Wynn, who was a first-round pick who didn't play it down. He's going to be back this year. It's like getting a first-round pick and a second-round pick. That's the way I look at it. Give up those 2 first-rounders in a second and get a great tight end. You know how valuable a great tight end is.
Well, I looked at the NFL.com site today, and they were saying that Buffalo at 9 was projected to take Hawkinson,
so move up in front of them.
Well, I don't know if they have a willing trade partner. I guess it's a possibility.
You have a team that's up there in the top 10, maybe around 6th or 7th, that's saying, yeah, we like him, we don't love this guy that we're going to take. And the Patriots go to you, which they've already done, I imagine. So we'll give you 2 first rounds and a second, for your first-round pick. And I would, they get a great tight end that can even be better catching the ball and running pass patterns than Gronk was this year. And Gronk's blocking was unreal.
Right.
And Gronk's big plays. But, I would definitely go. And then in the 3rd round, with those 3 picks in the 3rd round, try to find a receiver.
It seems like they like to go with volume because their accuracy isn't so high, but so they try to make it up on quantity.
Would you give up those picks, the 2 first-rounders in this year's second, too?
Yeah, for their first round picks, because they're so low every year, don't have as much value.
You're getting a potential great tight end. You know what that does to a team when you've got Gronk.
Right. It made a big difference, no question about it. And they made some other signings. Gostkowski signed a 2-year deal for a slight pay cut from before. He made it clear that he wanted to stick around this area because his family likes it. He's got a few children. And they extended Patrick Chung and signed Jonathan Jones to his
yeah, he had a
tender.
good year.
Right. So if somebody else wanted to take him, they would have had to
Second rounder?
A second rounder. So
Jonathan Jones played really well the last 2 years. I think I've liked them all along. I look at some of these guys, and it's funny. Like, I knew Butler before a lot of people saw him, watching him and playing some of the games in the exhibition season. I said, this kid's good. He's always around the ball. And then that guy, I just found out, the guy that I liked 2 years ago was one of the stars on one of the better teams. I forget his name. He was a cornerback, too.
Oh, I know who you mean.
They got rid of him. He became a starter on a very good team.
Right. I can't think of his name, but I know who you mean.
And then we used to talk about him, how he's always around the ball.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
last year they had Jackson, who was kind of that guy.
He's going to be real good.
And he's really physical, and he's kind of good size. And,
Oh, they're super at cornerback now.
and Cross and the other kid was.
He's going to be good, Ron. He's going to be more of a safety, I think. He's physical. He can hit. They may turn him into a safety.
Well, they definitely need to get younger at safety, so that'll be.
And they got Dawson, and if Dawson becomes the play they think he's going to be, they're all set at cornerback.
Right, so defensive back-wise, they're in pretty good shape. They have $14 million in change on the salary cap right now, so they're in pretty good shape. And a lot of times they'll trade for a veteran with some of their draft choices, so I wouldn't be surprised they trade for XYZ player, and they give up their fifth, and they get the player plus a sixth.
Well, look how they made out with Van Noy. Become one of
Right.
the best linebackers in football right now.
Right, he's going to be.
And
getting
we're hoping that
serious
kid, I
money.
keep forgetting his name,
Bentley.
Bentley, we're hoping that, I mean, he looked really good until he got injured. If he's a player everybody thinks he is, they may be all set there because Hightower
Well, they have
is
another
coming
kid,
back.
Sam, coming
Yeah.
back, who I think they think is at least going to be a serviceable special teams player. You know, and if you think about the Super Bowl, they really did exceptionally well downing punts, you know, inside the 10. That was big field position in a game like that made the Rams have to traverse the length of the field, which is not always easy.
But they're going to hurt. I mean, I'm worried about the defensive coordinator, who wasn't really a defensive coordinator. He did an unbelievable job with them. You know, I think he's going to be a big loss. Next to Gronk, he's probably the biggest loss. You know, I mean,
Well, they're saying Belichick will end up having to be the de facto defensive coordinator, but it's tough to have to keep your head wrapped around all the things supervising and be the coordinator.
you know, I'm hoping Mayo. I mean, Mayo's been a clown on the TV show he's on, but I'm hoping Mayo knew the game when he played. So I'm hoping that he helps out. Who knows? Maybe he'll turn out to
Did
be.
you see that Teddy Bruschi ran the marathon
Yeah.
again, and he's raised over $5 million for stroke research, which is really incredible.
They interviewed him after. He was really happy about the way things went.
Well, remember, we saw him at a game, I think it was in
Attleboro?
Attleboro. Right, and I walked by him and I said, wow, I'm like bigger than he is. How can this be? So he must have been on something when he was that big. But anyway, the Celtics won their opening game against a not very strong Indiana offense. They did some things differently. They had at times Jason Tatum on Collison because they didn't want Kyrie Irving having to chase around Collison all the time on the pick and roll, want to save his energy for offense. And obviously without Marcus Smart, they don't have a key defender. But overall, they did a good job on Sunday.
I missed the game. We taped it, but I missed the game. I was at the.
Well, it wasn't. The first half was just a nightmare.
Yeah, we got tickets for the Bronx Teal.
Okay.
You know, it was really good. The musical play. I mean, it was excellent. And
You're getting culture in your old age.
we go once a year. Go out to eat after, but it was really good. 6 of us went. My brother and his wife and my sister. And because we all love the Bronx Teal, the movie.
Right.
And they did a great job. You know, they had a 9-year-old kid playing the Sons, De Niro's son's part. You know, he was unreal. I mean, it was just very good. But we did tape it, and you know, I was really interested to see how Brown played starting for Smart. He was only 1 for 5, but I'm not happy that Smart got injured. But you know my feeling about Smart. I think he takes away from the offense big time, and then Brown comes out and goes 1 for 5. My thinking was if they want to reach their potential, Brown's going to play 35 minutes and hopefully get back to the player he was. And Hayward's got to play 35 minutes. And if they're playing at the best, you know, their ability.
Well, I think it's always difficult for the younger players. They want to shoot the ball, but sometimes they know that it's upsetting Kyrie, or maybe even it's upsetting Tatum if Brown's taking too many shots. I don't know. Tatum's kind of. I think Tatum got infected by Kobe Bryant, saying like you have to be.
Oh,
the
I'm
man.
really down on Tatum. He doesn't look to pass. He dribbles with his head down. But I mean, they played good defense. You know, I heard that they missed a lot of shots, Indiana, that they had easy shots that they missed. But, you know, I said it to you. I said, when they signed Smart, I'm worried about Stevens because Stevens may count on him like he always has, and it's going to hurt the development of Brown and Tatum if he plays Smart 30 minutes. Well, he did that. Brown didn't get off to a good start. Smart starting, playing 30 minutes, affecting the offense big time.
Well, the word was behind the scenes that Tatum and Brown were unhappy that Hayward was getting minutes because they didn't feel he deserved him because he wasn't back to previous form. Well, I mean, how's he going to get back to his previous form without playing? So
And you're going to pout about that and play the way they've played? I mean, how can they? I mean, they have talent, but I mean, they have to be embarrassed the way I mean, everybody's, talking about Tatum. I hope that they trade him for Davis. I would now. I wouldn't have done it before the season. I would trade Tatum and Brown for Davis right now if they can get it. And a lot of people that have loved Tatum and Brown are all saying the same thing. If they can get Davis, they would trade both of them now.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And I'm still hoping that Brown and Tatum can reach their potential.
Well, I'm hoping that at least while Smart's out, that Rozier will regain some of his prior form.
Well, he's gone after this year.
Yeah, I know, but he was kind of up and down during the season this year.
Unless Kyrie leaves. If Kyrie leaves, then the Brown, Tatum, they're not going to get traded.
Right.
They'll stick there and they'll sign Rozier.
Right. Well, I mean, Rozier, he's kind of, well, if you had to give him a letter grade for the season, what would you give him?
C minus.
Oh, I was going to say C plus. So, I mean,
Rozier?
he wasn't good this year.
It's a C minus.
I'm an easy grader.
Oh, how about Brown and Tatum?
Tatum, I give a B. Brown, probably B minus. They have their moments.
You were all A's in school, all
Yeah.
A pluses, and you're giving these guys B's, B pluses that haven't even played half decent?
Back in the 60s, I read this the other day, 15% of college students got A's. Now it's 47%. So
The teachers are giving it to them.
They just give you an A.
Well, you know why they're giving it to them.
So they don't have to deal with the complaints.
Oh, I know why, but I'm not going to get into it. But Brown, you got to give Brown a C minus. You got to give Tatum a C minus right now. Hopefully they get up to B's during the playoffs. I mean, you got to give them C minuses. I mean, look at them. Tatum hasn't played any defense run.
It's a good test because we create these expectations, and this year the Celtics clearly didn't live up to them. The back-to-back loss with the Lakers and the Clippers were the low point
Well,
of the
I told you,
season.
I was at the Lakers game, and I had the tickets for the Clippers game. I gave them back to my friend.
No, it
But
was just horrible.
Who would you give? There's one player on the team I would give an A to. There's only one player that I would give an A to.
Probably Horford.
Horford. Horford gets an A. He's been injured at times, but he's had his best season with the Celtics. He's an A.
No, when he's out of there, the team really falls to a different level.
The next grade, I would give Kyrie a B. I'd give him a B.
Well, I don't know.
He hasn't led the team the way he should be. His off-court remarks, I mean, they're terrible for the team. And a lot of players don't feel comfortable playing with him. I know Hayward hates playing with him.
Well, the teams they play, like Indiana's big, so you got to play Baines. Sabonis you have to keep him out. And Horford's not the strongest guy, even though he's big, whereas Baines is the strongest guy.
But know what else amazes me? Forget about the Red Sox giving Seal all that money when they could have waited. How does Ainge give Rubicelli? How does he give him a guaranteed contract for next year at $3.6 million?
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he's
With all the bigs that are coming in from Europe that you can get them as free agents, some of these bigs.
Yeah, he's not.
How do they give him 3.6?
He must be a really nice guy.
He must have given him that money, so when if he has to make a trade and he needs that 3.6,
yeah.
That's the only reason. The guy's useless.
It's true. When it's very complex when they're matching trades in the NBA, you have to match salary. So you need guys to make more money just so you can include them in the trade.
I like that skinny kid that they played against Washington that hadn't played. Dozier. I like him better than him.
Well, I thought Wanamaker in limited action was okay.
He's got to play more because he makes stupid mistakes at times.
He wasn't as good as Larkin was last year. I don't know what happened to Larkin.
But that's why, if things work out where they don't make that trade with Davis, there's no reason why he can't get a good, solid guy that can hit the three, distribute the ball, play good defense. Not like Rozier, who's
well, they have enough draft choices. They should be able to luck into somebody.
You know the type of guy I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Gets everybody involved. If you leave him alone, he'll hit the three, can play strong defense.
Yeah, like a Hornacek kind of guy.
Yeah. I mean, Rozier is too much on himself. He's got to shoot the ball. He doesn't look to make passes. He's not as good defensively as people think he is. But if Kyrie leaves, they're going to sign him.
Well, if they'd got a Brogdon type player, they would have been well off, but they didn't. I've enjoyed being with you tonight. I'm Ron Sen.
And I'm Ralph LaBella, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Sports.